Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back in the action, and today we are doing another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile on the three Nordic gods. And if you don't know what they are, they're the gods that are based in Viking legends, Thor, Loki and Odin, the main three, which are the most powerfulest ones. And they're used from the season of 5Ds from Team Ragnarok. And during that time, Team Ragnarok were the top team duelist in the entire world. Each one having one of the Nordic gods on the side. The first containing Thor, Loki and Odin. And I've recently accessed the new legendary hero decks from Nordics, Destiny and Abyss. Not Abyss Actors. I can't remember what the third one is, but I'm going to do a profile on them, and this is the first one. So, let's begin. So first, we'll start off with our tuna monsters, then our monsters, then spells and traps, then the extra deck. So first we have Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendant. And this card is not treated as a Valkyrie card. And when this card is normal summoned, if your opponent controls a monster and you control no other cards, you can banish two Nordic monsters from your hand, special summon these two tokens shown on the description in defense mode as level 4s. And the reason this is a good card is because all the Nordic gods, Thor, Loki and Odin, are level 10s and they need two monsters that are non-tuners and a specific tuner monster. Next we have Vanadis, the Nordic Ascendant, another tuner. For a synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any one Nordic tuner. If this card is used for a synchro material, all other synchro materials must be Nordic monsters. Once per turn, you can send one Nordic monster from your deck to your graveyard. This card's level becomes the level of that monster till the end of that turn. So you could still use that for others. So next we have Starlife, the Nordic Alpha. And this card is when this card is normal summon, target a Nordic monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Next, Mara the Nordic Alpha, I'll say. Sorry. When using this card for a synchro summon, the other synchro materials must be two Nordic monsters in your hand. Next, we have two Gamma the Nordic Beasts, and this one was used before. If you watch 5Ds, you'll know about the rest of these cards. You'll know practically what the deck's main structure's about. But this card, was the main one you see, along with the other monsters. So they did show the entire deck, and the entire deck has been put into circulation. So this card's effect, if this card battles a level 4 or lower monster after damage calculation, you can return that monster to the hand. And I added two of them, because that's what the box shows. Next we have Tanganize, I cannot say the words, but this is a Nordic Beast. If this card is destroyed in battle and sent to the graveyard, you can summon up to two Nordic Beast tokens, level 3, with 0 attack and defense. So technically, if you don't have any other monsters, but you've got them, they'll help. And these two cards would work together, reason being this is a tuner and it's a level 4. The two tokens plus one of these would be a level 10, so that would work. And that's what they've used in the strategy. And this card, if your opponent controls a synchro monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And there's two of those. Next, Tangnis Joster, I can't, these words I can't really pronounce the correct pronunciation, but when a monster you control is destroyed by a battle and sent to a graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, when a defense position monster on the field is changed to attack position, you can special summon one Nordic Beast monster from your deck in defense position, except this one. And it is quite good to have two of these. Next, Yugioh the Nordic Alpha. After you normal summon this card, you can normal summon a Nordic monster during your main phase this turn. in addition to your normal summon set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. If this face-up card is on the field and sent to the graveyard, target one Nordic relic card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. And the relics are the trap cards, what they use, and I'll show them when we get to our trap cards. Next we have Lor's Alf, I think that's how you say it, but that's the Nordic Alpha again. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one face-up monster you control, except this card. Special summon one Nordic monster from your hand with a level less than or equal to that face-up monster's level. And we have these two. So the first is Mimer, the Nordic Ascendant. Once per turn, you can at the start of the standby phase, if you control a Nordic monster and this card's in your graveyard, you can send one spell card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card. Next we have Tyre the Nordic Champions. Your opponent's monsters cannot target Nordic monsters for attacks except this one. If there is no other Nordic monster on the field, destroy this card. So that is a gamble. So you'd have to make sure you've got some kind of Nordic on you for defense. Next we have the Nordic Lights, the field spell. Nordic monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. If this card on the field is destroyed, destroy all Nordic monsters on the field. And this can actually work, and I'll show you why. Despite them some of these being able to destroy your Nordic monsters, there is an advantage to it. So first we have our first Nordic relic, Drapner, I think that is. Equip only to an Aesir or Nordic monster. It gains 800 attack. If this face-up card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can add one Nordic relic from your deck to your hand. I have two of those. Next we have March Towards Ragnarok. And as you can see, there's 4. And Ragnarok is actually quite a befitting name for the Nordic gods, because if you don't know, Ragnarok means it's practically doomsday in the northern legends. Odin, stories say that I don't know if it's factual, but in the stories, but 2 beings of chaos and destruction come forth to destroy the earth, and that summons forth Ragnarok. I think that's the legends. I don't really read much about Nordic myths. I'm mostly on ancient Egyptian legends. It's the main category. So this card's effect: target one Aesir monster you control until the end of this turn. Its effects are negated. Also, that face-up monster is unaffected by effects of other spells and traps. Next, Monster Reborn. No longer banned. And if you don't know what this card does, you definitely know. So I'll explain. So you can target one monster in either player's graveyard, special summon it to your field. Like I said, if you don't know what that card does, you're either trolling somebody or you're just new to the game. Next, Darkhold. This destroys all monsters on the field. Mystical Space Typhoon. Targets one spell trap on the field, destroy it. Soul Charge. This lets you special summon any monsters from your graveyard, and if you do, you have to lose 1,000 points for each one. And who are summoned by this effect, but you can attack this turn, and you can only activate this once per turn. Next we have Hey Trunade. Return all spell and trap cards from your on the field to the hand. And next we have our Forbidden cards: Forbidden Dress, Forbidden Lance, and Forbidden Chalice. So I'll explain, which are actually quite good. So the first one, hold on. Target one face-up monster in the field until the end of this turn. It gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. The Lancer's effect. Target one face-up monster in the field until the end of this turn. It loses 800 attack, but is unaffected by the card effects of other spells and traps. So technically, if your opponent was to use Magic Cylinder or Quaking Mirror Force or all sorts, that would give you an advantage, but you'd have to make sure your monster's beyond powerful. Forbidden Dress. Target one face-up monster in the field until the end of this turn. That target loses 600, but it cannot be targeted or destroyed by other card effects. And next we have the rest of most of our relics here. So the first one, Nordic Relic Brisangeman. Target one face-up monster you control and one face-up monster your opponent controls. The attack of the first target becomes equal to the attack of the second target. So technically, and this happened on 5Ds, the first Ragnarok player used this on his on the dog one, on the level 4 red beast monster, on this because Jack had Red Dragon Archfiend on, so that monster would gain Red Dragon's Archfiend's attack points. So both of them would become equal. But he had a secondary plan just in case. That was Jack though with the secondary plan. He found a way to combo it. And I have 2 of those. Next is Nordic Relic Leviathan. I think it is Leviathan or Leviathan. Target one face-up monster on the field that destroyed a monster by battle this turn. Destroy it. This card's end effects cannot be activated in response to this card's activation. 2 of those. Next we have Nordic Relic Gungnir. Is it Gungnir? I don't know how to pronounce it again. Banish one Aesir or Nordic monster you control, then target one card on the field, destroy it. Also, during your second end phase, after activation, return the monster that you banished to activate this card on the field in face-up attack mode. 2 of those again. Next, Glipnir, the Fetters of Fenrir. Add one Nordic monster from your deck to your hand. That's 2 of them. Our last Nordic relic until we go to our extra deck. Nordic Relic Magnijord. Target one Aesir or Nordic monster you control. Its attack and defense become doubled its original attack and defense until the end of this turn, but it cannot attack your opponent directly this turn. Next, Solemn Authority. Activate this card by targeting one Aesir monster you control. It cannot be targeted by other card effects while this card is on the field. Send this card to your graveyard during the second standby phase after activation. Now we're up to our extra deck. First we have Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. As you see, it's level 1+. So your opponent cannot target this card with card effects except during your main phase 2. And it's quite a decent attack. Next we have Coral Dragon. Not as powerful as our Sacred Tree, but still fine. But this is classed as a tuner as well, so it's actually not bad. So once per turn, you can discard one card, then target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. If this Synchro Summon card is sent to the field to the graveyard, you can draw one card, and you can only activate this once per turn. Next, and this is a valuable card. According to my research, this one is quite valuable. Ascension Sky Dragon. And this is why. If this card is Synchro Summon, it gains 800 attack for each card currently in your hand. If this card you control is destroyed by your opponent card and sent to the graveyard, if all the monsters were used for a synchro summon of this card are in your graveyard, you can special summon all of them, but their effects are negated, and you can only activate this once per turn. So technically, you could have this monster attack with 400 if you have 5 cards in your hand, and if totaling that number, you could play another synchro if you added that to your other decks, or even use it for links, which would be really well as long as they meet the category. And now we're up to the Nordics, to the Lords of the Aesirs themselves. First, we have 4. 1 Nordic Beast Tuner and 2 non-tuner monsters, so that's what you'd need since it's a level 10. And that's its attack. And the reason these cards are really tough to beat, if you play them correctly, if you have even with just one of them on the field, is this why. Once per turn, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Once per turn during the end phase, if this face-up card you controlled was destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can banish 1 Nordic Beast Tuner from your graveyard, special summon this card, and if it's special summoned this way, it deals 800 points to your opponent. With its attack points being 3,528 defense, that is quite powerful. Next we have Loki, Lord of the Aesir. Again, level 10, and this requires a Nordic Alpha tuner. See, as I say, it requires a Nordic Alpha, and again, 2 monsters. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, during your battle phase quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card you controlled was destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can banish 1 Nordic Alpha tuner from your graveyard, special summon this card, and also you can target 1 spell or trap card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. With 3,300 attack and 3,000 defense. So they all have this effect. If you can banish certain tuners to special summon all of them back, as long as they were destroyed by your opponent's cards, either by battle or either by effects. But if your opponent found a way but technically there is a weakness though with the Nordics. Individually they have drawbacks, but if you have like the Egyptian gods, if you have all 3 of them together, they're quite a powerful united front. But the weakness they have is, if you can find a way to banish them, you can stop his entire strategy completely, because the deck's mostly based on the Nordics, on the Nordic gods themselves. So if you can get rid of the Nordics, that's it for your opponent. But you'd have to make sure you destroy every single copy of them, no matter what. So if your opponent's using either 1 or 2 or 3, you've got to find a way to make sure you can banish your opponent's cards, like Dimensional Fissure, which sends all cards from the graveyard to banish them instead. Or you could play Soul Release, and that card lets you remove up to 5 cards from your opponent's graveyard. So you'd have to play that after you send your opponent the Nordics to the graveyard. That, or you could probably either that or stop them from summoning tuners. So if you fill your opponent's entire field up with like say tokens, which I've done, I filled my opponents up with the Ojama Trio card when practicing. Before they invented links, he couldn't do anything because I stopped him right there. All of his monsters were the Nordic beasts and alphas, so he couldn't do anything because he already summoned 2 monsters and that was it. If he had played, if he had let's say if he had an Xyz in it during the pendulum methods, if he had an Xyz, he could have summoned a tuner and he could have used them to win, but he didn't. So let's get back to this. Odin, the father of the Aesir, and Odin is the most powerfulest of all of the Nordic gods because in legends he is, I don't know, either a father or creator of Thor and Loki, because Thor and Loki are his sons. I don't know if that's a... Again, I don't read. The only thing I know about Odin, Thor and Loki is when I watch Thor or the Marvel trilogy. That's the only thing I know. But I know they did some base things around like Mjolnir and everything, which was Thor's hammer. So Odin's effect. This needs a Nordic Ascendant tuner and 2 monsters, as we know. Once per turn, you can make this card be unaffected by spell and traps effects until the end of this turn. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can banish 1 Nordic Ascendant tuner from your graveyard, special summon this way, and if it's special summon this way, you can draw 1 card. And now, this is the newest card they've got, the Link. Golvige, the Nordic Ascendant. And this requires a level 5, and luckily, it's only a level 1. So its effects are, if this card is Link summoned, you can banish up to 3 cards in your hand, or field, and if you do, special summon that many Nordic monsters from your deck in defense position. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters except Aesir monsters or non-normal summon monsters. Non-normal summon or set any monsters. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. While this card points to an Aesir monster, your opponent cannot target that monster with card effects. Also, monsters your opponent controls cannot target this card for attacks. So, that actually has a perfect strategy. So if I combine that with one of the 3 Nordic gods, I could make this strategy unbeatable. But then again, not practically unbeatable because it still has a weakness. Like I've said, if you can find a way to banish your opponent's cards, that is it for him or her. The strategy is ruined. I'm gonna do some more deck profiles on these legendary hero boxes. The next one I'll do will be on the Destiny heroes, and then I'll work on the I can't remember what they're called. They're the Knights ones that Dark Rebellion has, but I can't remember exactly what they are. But they're all trap-based monsters mostly, and they're Xyz-based because they're from the Arc V season. So again, if you want to see them, comment down below, and comment on what decks you would like me to profile. And remember, if we can hit 20 to 30 subscribers, I'll do a full deck profile on the main protagonist or antagonist of choice. And I have been asked to do Yusei's entire story deck, which I managed to get my hands on almost the entire deck. So until then, this is Sergeant Phoenix, over and out.